guys, welcome back to Planet Tyro. I'm your host, Donald Wonder. Today, I get to speak about one of my favorite shows of all time. And even though it's my favorite show of all time, man, did it just take a dive. And there isn't a lot of people speaking about or have a video review for it on YouTube, so I'm happy to discuss it. I'm happy to share my thoughts to the YouTube and the worldwide community on video, man. Because this show right here, this show that I own, yes, I'm not just streaming it illegally, I own this shit. The one season that only came out. We're going to get into this right now.
Tyro Media.
That's right, folks, we're talking about the Drew Carey Show. The Drew Carey Show is a comedy that ran from 1995 to 2004, 9 years. Didn't need to be 9 years, I'm saying that right now. And it was one of my favourite comedies. I need to digress before we get into it. Let me tell you how I got into the Drew Carey Show. Now, the Drew Carey Show was an American show. It was never on British television. What happened was, when I was a teen, and I first paid for my own cable subscription. My own. The cable subscription used to go Home Choice. They had a list of shows, American shows. Felicity, The Newsroom, The Drew Carey Show that I never even heard of. And I just gave The Drew Carey Show a try. And I was just blown away by this show. This had to be one of the funniest, cleverest shows. And the funny thing is, the concept is not even original. It was about a middle-aged assistant director who was just stuck in a dead-end job, and he had his loser friends. And Drew Carey, as you know, was the host of Whose Line Is It Anyway in America. And most of the cast in this show from was Whose Line Is It Anyway. So they're all comedians, they're all funny, and the comedy was fresh. The dialogue was witty as hell for 1995. Even if you watch it today, it's still funny as hell. And I just, oh man, this was such a pleasant surprise. It was so goofy. And the funny thing was, I can't explain what made the Drew Carey Show such a magical experience. Back in the day, everyone had those comedies that was named after themselves. You know, Seinfeld, The Larry Sanders Show. I think it was a thing. Every comedian had to have a comedy after themselves in the 90s. And the Drew Carey Show, I don't think it was actually that big back in the day, but as it went on and as it was so long running, it did get a big steam, it did get a big following. And for me, the show went through 3 phases. The first 3 years, the second 3 years, and the last 3 years. The first 2 phases, the first 6 years, comedy gold. Another thing that makes Drew Carey so phenomenal is that it was one of the first shows, in my opinion, that had those big dance set pieces. You know, Scrubs started to have that along, and funny enough, I think there's a lot of similarities between this and Scrubs, because those big set pieces where everyone just breaks out into dance and there's a lot of sing-along comedy skit. This show was so fresh, so original, and it had so much that Whose Line Is It Anyway comedy in there. Oh, man, and you know, before I get into what I don't like, another thing was this show had a bit of drama in it. Just like Scrubs, this show wasn't just a straight-out comedy. It had drama. Drew was following Drew Carey's life. He was looking for love. He was trying to get a better job, and 70% comedy, 30% drama. The drama wasn't even as heavy as it was in Scrubs, which has had a lot more drama than here. But it felt like a progressive story. It wasn't just a comedy for comedy's sake. We got to see Drew Carey grow and go through relationships, and it had a winning formula, man. But the problem with Drew Carey, man, it went on for too long. Just like The Simpsons. Just like The Simpsons, where the first couple of years were just comedy gold. The last 3 years, Drew Carey lost his identity. The Drew Carey Show, everything about it just changed. It morphed into a whole new animal. Drew Carey got a new job working for a tech company, and he didn't even wear glasses anymore, and he lost weight. And don't get me wrong, it was still funny, but it wasn't the classic comedy formula it had. And then, not like this matters, I'm not being a bigot or anything, but his brother, he became like a transsexual who married his enemy. And it just became so loony. It just went off the wall. You know, I guess the term jumped the shark, because it just seemed like it had no idea what it was. The only good thing I have to say about the last 3 seasons is at points it started to infuse more of Who's Lines It Anyway. I think in the last season, they started to actually do a lot of sketch stuff where, like, some of the concepts of Who's Lines It Anyway came into the show, where they would change concepts in the show at the time, and I think there was a few episodes that were shot live as well. On a whole, man, I love the Drew Carey show. I own the Drew Carey show. I own the Drew Carey show, and the first 6 seasons, just like The Simpsons, where the first 8 seasons of The Simpsons are golden. Hall of Fame first 6 seasons. But then last 3 seasons, man, they don't hold up. And as a result, it brings the show down to a solid B. Now, ironically, I think the first season, the only one you can get on DVD anyway, if you can get the first season, you will see how funny and fresh the show was. And you know what, I think I was doing some research and I read that this show got like a 4-year signing deal. That's why the last 4 seasons just dropped off, because it just got it wasn't like a yearly sign on like we do now, where shows only get signed on year by year by year. This show got a massive sign on, and it went on too long. Definitely went on too long, lost its steam. It was still funny, but those first 6 seasons, if you just stop there, you know, like Seinfeld, even Seinfeld went on 1 or 2 seasons too long. This show went 3 seasons on too long, and it breaks my heart, because this show was comedy gold. I love this show. I still think those 6 seasons hold up. I still recommend it, and it still is one of my all-time favorite comedies. But I've got to be critical and say that if you look at it as a whole package, the best I can give it is a solid B, if I didn't say it already, because it just let me down. It broke my heart. But Drew Carey's a funny guy. The cast are amazing. They're all comedians. They all have great comedic timing. So I don't need to go into details. I don't even need to get into spoilers. If you can see old episodes of the Drew Carey show, you're in for a surprise. You can only buy the first season. Buy the first seasons, or rent it, or Netflix if it's on Netflix. Check it out, because this was comedy gold. And if you're watching this review, you might already love the Drew Carey show. This is why you're watching, to hear someone actually talk about it, because I'm there with you. It was great, but it took a dive, man. It really took a dive, and it hurts me to say that. But you know, and to be more critical, I guess the comedy in the show is a bit dated by today's standards. It's not Community or anything, but I still think this show is fresh in a sense, and I'll still say check it out. And let me just stop the rambling, because my heart is a bit broken when I talk about this show, but I still think it's a great classic show. But let me just leave it there, guys. So I do apologise, it's just me rambling about a show without going into so many details. But comedy, it's hard to review comedy, because comedy is kind of one note, and this show isn't that creative. It's just, it is what it is, and if you check out an episode, you'll see what I mean. But enough is enough. Enough of that, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Welcome to Planet Tyro. If this is your first time to the channel, I do a lot of reviews here for different types of media. As I'm always saying, guys, check out the annotation on the screen. Click those annotations, because we do a lot of diverse stuff. And then I'll see you on the next one, people. Thanks for watching. Take care now. Peace.